This is the all-new Rivian R1S. And if you're asking yourself, what's a Rivian or what's an R1S, you're probably not alone, because the company, Rivian, is relatively new. They've only come out with two models, the R1T, their pickup truck, and an Amazon delivery van. Then this, the R1S, which is their SUV. It's on the same platform as the R1T, but we're getting a first drive in it. We're gonna see what the differences are between that pickup truck that we've already driven and this also all-electric SUV. It's got 3 rows of seating. How much space is there inside? Does it compete with stuff like the Tesla Model X? How does it hold up when you drive it off-road under really difficult conditions? We're gonna find all that stuff out and more in just a bit, but before we do, click like and subscribe and let us know in the comments what you think of the looks in these kind of cool headlights. And for a cash offer on your car today, go to edmunds.com/sellmycar. So, what's under the hood of the R1S? What's powering it? Well, those are two different questions. Under the hood is a frunk. You get that extra trunk space because there's no engine up there, and there's over 11 cubic feet of storage. It's actually a pretty big compartment. But what's powering it is over 120 kilowatt hour battery and 4 motors. The early editions only get the quad motor setup, and this one is one of the early editions. It's a launch edition R1S, which means there's a motor at each wheel, giving you all-wheel drive, and that all-wheel drive also gives you excellent launch capabilities, so you can put down over 800 horsepower and over 900 pound-feet of torque, which is absolutely bonkers. Now, of course, this is not a light vehicle. All the batteries, the motors, and the fact that it's a 3-row SUV means this will come in at over 7,000 pounds, which is, wow, a lot. And we verified that. Our R1T weighed in at over 7,100 pounds on the scale when we tested it, and that is just such a heavy vehicle. For a little bit of context, something that has a weight over 6,000 pounds, a GVWR over 6,000 pounds, doesn't have to get rated by the EPA for fuel economy. We're talking heavy-duty diesel trucks and things of the like. So the fact that this vehicle weighs that much shows you just how many batteries they had to put in it to get it a range of about 316 miles. Now, that'll differ depending on which tires you get from Rivian, and that's not bad. Unfortunately, the R1T, this vehicle's brother, is the least efficient electric vehicle we've ever tested. On the Edmunds EV Range Loop, we test things not just like range, but also how much power a vehicle uses per every 100 miles traveled. And when you do the math, the R1T is really inefficient because it's so heavy, because it's shaped like essentially a box on wheels. It uses up a lot of power to go those 300 miles. And it did pretty much match its range claims in our testing, but I think it's going to be the same case with this, the R1S. It's got the same battery, same motors, and while it's a little bit smaller nose to tail, it's going to be just as heavy, so it's not going to be surprised when it's not very efficient. Now, does that matter to you? That's a buyer's choice. What's it like to drive? Well, for starters, it is pretty quiet. I don't have any music on, and it's kind of silent in here. You do get a little bit of wind noise and a little bit of whir from the electric motors in the battery when you step on it, but it's a serene experience, and the interior is really nice. I love the materials they use on these launch edition Rivians, and everything's pretty simple. Now, there is a complaint I have, and it is the lack of buttons. Everything has been moved to touchscreen, and whether or not this is a trend that Tesla started and everybody else is going to jump on board with and we'll all have to deal with, only time will tell. But I hate the fact that there are no buttons on this screen and that there are only 2 buttons on the steering wheel and that both of them are unlabeled. So you kind of have to guess at what they do, and they serve multiple functions. It takes a long time to learn this stuff. It's really less than ideal. And another thing worth noting, you can't get Apple CarPlay or Android Auto in any Rivian. They've built their own proprietary system, and you can't connect your smartphone via cable. Sure, you can charge it, but the only way you're getting music from your smartphone to this system is via Bluetooth. So, one of the benefits that the R1S has over the R1T, which is very similar if you see them parked next to each other, is that it's got better approach and departure and breakover angles. Now the approach is only slightly different. It's less than a full degree. The breakover and departure angles are much better. And that's because this is a shorter vehicle front to back. Ooh, we got some mud coming up here. And shorter vehicle front to back, shorter wheelbase, that means better angles. So you're less likely to get the back hung up when you're going up a steep hill, or get the center hung up on something like high center it on a rock. And both of these vehicles, what they share is the quad motor setup. The dual motor isn't out yet. It'll be out in 2024, but the quad motor is a motor for each wheel. So you've got a lot of control over what you can do off-road and where the traction goes. And one of the most recent updates that Rivian has done over the air to their software systems is added a sand mode. So you have a mode where you can go faster off-road, allow for a little bit more slip, and have a little bit more fun in high-speed scenarios, which is really my favorite kind of off-roading. But I do love a wooded, muddy off-roading day. This is pretty great. I feel like I'm gonna go build a cabin somewhere. And we're currently in the highest of the drive modes, which is, I believe, 15 inches of off-road clearance, essentially ground clearance. And there's a difference between the lowest, the parked mode, and the highest mode of over 5.5 inches, which is a lot. There's a big difference there of what you can and can't get over. And then when you park it, you get out. It's easier access in and out of the vehicle. And of course, there's something kind of different and unique about off-roading in something as silent as an electric vehicle. And I imagine we're going this way here, up over the Humpty Hump and through the rock wall. All right, this is a narrow bit here for sure. So using the cameras, make sure I don't nail either of these large old growth trees in this forest here. But I experienced something like this in the Wrangler 4xe, which also has a hybrid mode. Now, it's a hybrid, it uses a gas engine, it's not all EV, but when you do go into the EV mode, it's kind of nice. It's like you're at peace with nature. You're not disturbing the deer or the raccoons or whatever else is out here in the woods. It feels like the car version of Leave No Trace. All right, so we're gonna go up a steep ascent. I've been told to turn left at the orange flag at the top of the hill, keep a steady 10 miles an hour going up, and don't cry. I'll try not to cry on the way up. It's really muddy out here. All right, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, okay. Still going, still going, still going, still going. I'm fully in the throttle and now it's just gonna stop. So I should probably back down the hill, okay. So I need more momentum than that, probably go about 15. Full send, here we go. A little bit faster, keep it going, and up to the top and over. Hey, nobody died, look at that. I made it, only took 2 attempts. That was fun. So, aside from what it's like to drive, which we already knew kind of what to expect based on the R1T, what is this like to be inside of? What's it like as a 3-row SUV? There's plenty of space in the second row. I've got the front seats moved forward right now, but the second row is spacious and comfortable. Now, the ride quality in the back seat, strangely, isn't as good as it is in the front seat. I think it's because you're close to the rear wheel wells, and this is a pretty stiffly sprung vehicle, so it's not perfect when it comes to ride quality, but it's not bad. You wouldn't be too uncomfortable on a long road trip. What I am interested in, though, is how hard it is to get into the back seat and how much space there is back there, because a third row, that's important if you've got a big family. So let's give that a shot. The button here on top of the seat moves it forward, and that's all she wrote. That's as far forward as it goes. I'm gonna have to squeeze in here. I'll close the door behind me, and then I am in. Now, this isn't exactly ideal, but I guess there's enough space back here. There's plenty of space when you leave this seat folded forward, but when you bring it back, my knees are really cramped. Now, to be fair, that's set for an adult in these positions, but if I were an adult in the back row on a long road trip, I'd be complaining a lot. So while the third row may be mostly for kids, it's still pretty useful. And if you're going to be on a short trip as an adult, shouldn't be a problem. And it does have some cool features behind the third row that are worth noting. Like the R1T, the pickup truck, you've got the onboard compressor, which is great. If you want to go off-roading, you can air down your tires and then fill them up again. And back here, you've got a power folding button for the second row, so you can fold that down from here. And you've got the 3-prong outlet and, of course, the 120-volt outlet, 180 watts. It's also worth noting that the Rivian has a split folding tailgate, so pop that down and you can sit right here. And it's got a 500-pound rating. So if you've got really heavy dogs, they can sit on here, no problem. Now, the R1S does have a little bit of a disadvantage compared to the R1T in terms of towing, and by a little bit, I mean nearly 4,000 pounds. The R1T can tow 11,000 pounds, while the R1S can only do 7,700 pounds. But you figure if you're gonna do your towing, you're probably gonna get the truck anyways. Otherwise, this is still a really nice place to be. You've got under-seat storage, tie-downs that can move forward and back, and this is a really useful space for anybody in the 3-row SUV market, whether you're looking for an EV or not. So does the R1S live up to the high standards set by the R1T? Absolutely. It's just as good to drive, acceleration, handling, top notch. The comfort on the highway is even better too. It doesn't have as choppy a ride as the R1T, and it's better at off-roading because it has better approach and departure angles and a better breakover angle. So for me, that's a package win, especially if you don't need the bed of a pickup truck. Now, the third row isn't exactly the most family-friendly area. You're gonna have to squeeze back there at best, but really, it's the only game in the market right now. The Tesla Model X, while it shares similar dimensions to the Rivian R1S, is a coupe essentially. That rear window line really cuts into headroom, and this one's much more spacious. And when you fold the second and third rows flat, you've got tons of space back here. So unless you've got some wet or muddy gear, you don't necessarily need the truck. And even then, you've got the front trunk where you can throw said wet and muddy gear. Finally, there's the issue of price. You can only get the quad motor Rivian right now. That's the one with 4 motors, 1 at each wheel. It starts around $85,000. So if you want to have the one that's closer to 70 grand, you're going to have to wait until 2024 to get the dual motor version. But for some people, it might be worth that price bump. I think it's an excellent vehicle, and I think it's in a class of its own right now. For more information on the Rivian R1S, click the link below, press like and subscribe while you're down there. And for a cash offer on your car today, go to edmunds.com/sellmycar.